My name is Sherry. Standing at my sister Lily's wedding, I watched as the once harmonious family facade crumbled before my eyes. My so-called parents, Richard and Victoria, were pale with shock, and Lily was in tears, her perfect wedding day in ruins. The truth I'd brought with me was like a thunderbolt, shattering the lies that had held this family together for so long. I grew up in a family where I always felt like an outsider. My parents, Richard, a strict and cold-hearted businessman, and Victoria, a vain and status-conscious woman, doted on my younger sister Lily. Lily was the apple of their eye, with her golden hair and blue eyes, just like them. I, on the other hand, had dark hair and green eyes, a constant reminder of my difference in this family. As a web designer working for a small startup, I was proud of my career. But in my parents' eyes, Lily, who worked as a high-end fashion model, was the one with a real future. Victoria would often say, "Sherry, why don't you try to dress more stylishly? Look at Lily, she's always in the spotlight." These words chipped away at my self-esteem over the years. When Lily announced her engagement to Ethan, a wealthy heir to a large real estate empire, my parents were over the moon. The wedding planning became the sole topic of every family gathering. I tried to be happy for Lily, as any good sister would. I helped Victoria with the wedding preparations, from choosing the flowers to addressing the invitations. However, as the wedding drew closer, I started to notice strange things. I never received a save-the-date card, and when I asked Lily about it, she seemed evasive. Then I was left out of the bridesmaid selection. Victoria said, "Sherry, you know Lily wants her closest friends by her side. And besides, you need to lose a bit of weight for the photos." I was heartbroken but still tried to support them. I even offered to design the wedding website for free as a gift. I worked day and night, pouring my heart and soul into it. But when I showed my designs to Lily and Victoria, they dismissed them, saying they didn't have the luxury feel they wanted. 2 weeks later, I saw a website that looked remarkably similar to my design online, credited to an expensive design agency. 3 months before the wedding, I found a stack of final wedding invitations on Victoria's desk. My name was nowhere to be seen. I called Victoria, and she coldly said, "We all agreed you're not welcome at the wedding. You always cause drama and try to steal Lily's thunder." I was in shock. I couldn't believe that after all I'd done, they would exclude me from my own sister's wedding. Feeling utterly rejected, I started to question everything. One day, my grandmother, Martha, who had always been kind to me, called and asked for help moving from her old house. While sorting through her attic, I found a locked box. The key was hidden under a floorboard. Inside, there were old photos and letters. The photos showed a young Victoria with a man I'd never seen before. They looked deeply in love. The man had the same dark hair and green eyes as me. My heart raced as I read the letters. It turned out that my real father was this man, Henry, a successful entrepreneur. Victoria had been pregnant with me when she broke up with Henry because of family pressure. Richard, who had always loved Victoria, proposed to her and agreed to raise me as his own. Henry had set up a trust fund for me, but Richard and Victoria had been using the money for their own and Lily's expenses, hiding the truth from me. I was furious and determined to find out more. I ordered a DNA test, which confirmed that Richard was not my biological father. I then reached out to Henry. After some hesitation, he agreed to meet me. When we met at a quiet cafe, he was in tears. He told me that he'd always thought I was never born, as Victoria had told him she'd had an abortion. He was devastated to learn that I'd been living a life of rejection because of their lies. With Henry's support, I gathered more evidence of the financial fraud committed by Richard and Victoria. We decided to expose the truth at Lily's wedding. Henry managed to get an invitation through his business connections. On the wedding day, as the ceremony ended and the reception began, Henry and I made our move. We approached Richard and Victoria as they were chatting with Ethan's parents. Henry calmly said, "Richard, Victoria, it's time to end this charade. Sherry is my daughter, and you've been using the money from her trust fund for years." The room fell silent. Lily looked at us in disbelief, and Ethan's parents were stunned. Richard tried to deny everything, but I presented the DNA test results and the financial records. Victoria's face turned ashen, and she finally broke down, admitting everything. Lily was heartbroken, not only because of the revelation about me, but also because she realized that her perfect wedding had been funded by stolen money. She came to me, crying, and said she didn't know anything about it. I believed her. In the end, Richard and Victoria faced the consequences of their actions. They had to repay the misappropriated funds, and their social status was severely damaged. Lily and I started to rebuild our relationship, and I found a new family in Henry, his wife, and my half-siblings. 6 months after the wedding, I hosted a family gathering at my new apartment, which I bought with the recovered trust fund. Around the table were Henry, his wife, my half-siblings, Lily and Martha. As we laughed and shared stories, I realized that sometimes the family you're born into isn't the one that truly matters. It's the family you choose, the one that accepts you for who you are. If you've ever felt like an outcast in your own family, know that you're not alone. Sometimes, the most painful experiences can lead us to the truth and a better life.